let's bring it up. Let's get at it. Again, if you're just popping in here, here's the headlines. Dry through Monday, rain chances mid next week, and then below normal temperatures. Again, you're going to like this outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. Your play ball forecast, we got the football field in the background because we got Friday Night Football. 76 at noon, 82 at 4 p.m., and 72 at 8 p.m. Are you guys going to any high school football games? Let me know what games are going on in the comments, or any festivals or county fairs. Let us know what's happening in the comments. Northwest wind at around 5 to 10. All right, here's the stupid dad jokes. These are kind of weather related. But what do you call a guy wearing a red and black striped shirt at the grocery store? Freddy Kroeger. That's not too bad. Freddy Kroeger. Why did the tornado break up with the hurricane? Because they had a twisted relationship. They didn't get the therapy they needed. Why, speaking of therapy, why did the snowman go to therapy? He was having a total meltdown. All right, I'm going to say it. So we've been doing this for a little while, these stupid dad jokes. I'm going to say these three on a scale of 1 to 10 are a 7. What? Go ahead, rate these stupid dad jokes, and we'll keep them coming. How many days until? Before 8 p.m. sunset's 5 days away. Autumn begins in 24 days, September 22nd. Average highs in the 70s in 26 days, but we're already getting this fall taste here. And I've been watching the U.S. Open tennis, and it's been really cool in New York, too. They have that out in Queens, I believe. And they've been talking how it's been the coolest that they can remember there for U.S. Open. Usually it's hot stuff. Uh-oh. Erica's giving it a 6 for the stupid dad jokes. That's fair. I think that's fair. We've got Vicky in here letting us know what's going on with football. Salem plays Silver Creek at home tonight. Go Lions, roar. I'm not going to be partial here, but I'll go Lions. But we got the Dragons heading over to Salem. Everybody stay safe out there. And Carla Snotty, thanks for the update. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Thanks for joining the show here, Carla, and dropping in the comments. Perry Porter giving the jokes an 8 out of 10. All right. So we got an average of 7. So Erica's saying, go Dragons. All right. We're getting back and forth there. Here, who else is playing here? Because I think Floyd Central was out of town last week. Jeff was out of town. I didn't look at all the schedules. So let me know if you've got some Friday night football. Who's matching up here tonight? All right, here's your weather history for today. So 2005, big day. I remember it very well. Hurricane Katrina, Category 3 storm, 125-mile-per-hour winds, high storm surge came ashore along the Louisiana-Mississippi border. The massive storm brought 12 hours of hurricane-force winds and up to a 28-foot storm surge to the Mississippi coast. Of course, New Orleans inundated and changed that city forever. 2016, a lightning strike instantly killed a herd of 323 reindeer in Norway. So weather history is not always good stuff, as we know. 1985, a little more locally, several homes in Crawfordsville, that's just northwest of Indianapolis, were damaged by severe thunderstorm winds, a wind gust of 69 recorded in Indianapolis. So the source of this information from the National Weather Service in Louisville and Indianapolis. So good records that they're keeping there. And we've got a Mary Dale with a good morning. Always good to see what you have to say. Thank you very much, Mary. Trying to make it all interesting, of course. So we got high levels of the ragweed. We're in the ragweed season until we can get a good frost across the area. Mary, loving the weather history. The weather is interesting, especially those major events in history. UV index at an 8 today, so plenty of sunshine across the area. Remember some of that sunscreen. Your forecast summary for today, high of 82. It's fantastic Friday. I put that tiny rain chance mainly off to the south over central southern Kentucky, and even there, tiny rain chance this afternoon as this front is moving through the area. And you haven't even noticed it, but the front is pretty much moved through southern Indiana. We now have a northwest wind at around 5 to 10. Your Friday night football, 81 pregame, 7 p.m. kickoff, 76 halftime. lower 70s, post game, upper 60s. So may want like that flannel, the hoodie, the sweatshirt for once that sun goes down, those temperatures will be dropping off pretty nicely. Tonight's forecast, speaking of temperatures dropping off nicely, we've been having the windows open every night going to sleep to the bugs and the critters out there. Low of 56 degrees. So the AC continues to get a nice break, a very light breeze, sunrise at 7:11. Barbara Haas saying, perfect evening. Yes, indeed. I need to go out and play some golf with you sometime. Tomorrow's forecast for your Saturday, a splendid Saturday, August the 30th. 50s out the door, 72 at noon, 79 for that forecast high, 5 to 10 below normal. There's a very loud cicada. And the normal high 87, normal low 67, sun up at 7:11, sunset at 8:15. And the Bats are at home all this weekend versus the Columbus Clippers. Beautiful baseball weather each evening. And this evening also, I believe, Racing Louisville has their match at 7:30. I think they're playing Houston. And the 7-day forecast, 79 tomorrow. Notice our lows in the 50s this weekend. Great camping weather for sure. A little cool. You know, the pool and the lake water maybe a little cooler than we would like. 80 Sunday, 82 Monday. And then introducing about a 30% chance of a shower Tuesday. That might be a little better chance in Kentucky than Indiana. And then our best chance is Wednesday into early Thursday. That's kind of the pinpoint right now as this front moves through. That is going to be a fall-like front, Canadian front. That'll drop us. Look at this. We might see our coolest temperatures that we've seen in a long time. 72 a high Thursday and a low down to 52. That means 40s in outlying areas. And then next Friday, 74 degrees. So that is September the 5th. First week of September. How about that? Looking pretty good. All right. We are now, it's 10:20. So we're right on time. You know, this is when we're going to start to dig in to the weather model data. Coffee break. All right. There we go. And again, any weather questions, feel free to drop them in there at any time. I'll try to bring up any map that I have access to. All right, there's, again, a live look at the camera, Falls of the Ohio Foundation camera scanning the skies. This is a look at the radar and satellite. Look how quiet it is across the United States. There's an old front draped across the Gulf Coast. That's where there's a bunch of rain down that direction. Looks like some flash flood warnings in Louisiana. And again, you can't even tell really that there's a front going to be moving through our area or moving through our area right now, as it is a pretty much a perfectly clear sky. I want to bring up we're going to bring up the current temperatures and the dew points. And this time of the year, the dew points is really the best way to look at a change in the air mass. You get that real dry air from Canada, you know it's going to be feeling good. I'll bring up the high resolution weather data to show this tiny rain chance, mainly off to the south as well. But here is a look at the current conditions. Pause. Okay, there we go. That's a better map right there. So you can actually see the front. If I go ahead and bring this up full screen, notice north of I-70 up towards Indianapolis, they've got 50s, even some lower 50s, and then we're in the 60s and 70s. So that front is dropping down. We've already got the wind direction shift, that cool air just lagging behind a little bit. So again, we're looking at lower 80s for most locations for today, but then upper 70s for tomorrow. And you can see that blue up to the north, that Canadian air really winning the battle for our area. And if you like fall weather, you are a fan of that. So that's that. Now I'm going to bring up the dew point temperatures. And let's see where we got it at. Oh, I know what to do. So now we're bringing up the dew points. And they are low. I mean, 50s, it is. That's why it's so comfortable out here. That's why I'm in sweatshirt, because these nice low dew points. Dew points even lower to the north in the 40s up here around around the Great Lakes. But that is that reinforcing front, just going to reinforce the fall-like air for this weekend. Now, even a bigger push of Canadian air right around next Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to see that as we load up the long-range data here in just a second. But let's check out the Climate Prediction Center. Look at this, even a deeper blue this morning. What does that mean? So this is the 6 to 10 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. So feast your eyes on that. So that means the extended forecast has a very high confidence in below normal temperatures 6 to 10 days out, right over the Ohio Valley and the Midwest. Well, hello, Desi. Do you want to be part of the show this morning? What are you doing? Hi. All right, so that is the 6 to 10 day. Let's look up the 8 to 14 day outlook. Desi's really wanting to go on a hike, and it's been my fault. We haven't been able to do that here lately. All right, we've got this is the 8 to 14 day outlook, so a couple weeks out. And look at that. It still shows blue. So blue means above normal temperatures of above normal chances. I get it wrong every time I try to say it. Above normal chances of below normal temperatures through the long range outlook. And we'll back this up from the Climate Prediction Center as we match it up with the GFS long range weather model. And again, you're now into the really nerdy portion of Ben at 10 as we're looking at the weather model data here together. Get back to the future radar for today. So this is the high resolution HRRR, and it was completely dry as I was looking at this today. This is at 4 p.m. It's showing absolutely nothing. It shows a blip, like I don't even know if you can see it, south of Litchfield, a blip of green right there. So it is pretty much dry, the HRRR, high resolution rapid refresh weather model. Now the NAM 3 kilometer is another high resolution weather model. And I've got this is at 11 o'clock this morning. Here's noon. Let's go to like 2, 3 o'clock, see if it can pop up anything. Okay, so this is the most aggressive weather model for today. And notice along the front here, so here's the front, late afternoon, and it shows, as you can see here, the chance for maybe a sprinkle or a brief little shower along and south of the Bluegrass and Western Kentucky parkways. I don't totally buy this, as most of the weather models are dry, but I would go like 5% chance of this shower in those areas in central Kentucky. And Angela, pop it in the comments. Good morning. Happy Friday to everyone. Happy Labor Day weekend. Wishing everybody in the weather family a happy Labor Day weekend. Thanks for popping in the comments here this morning. So that's today. That's our high resolution weather model. We've looked at the Climate Prediction Center. And now we are going to start to look into next week because we are dry all the way through Monday, possibly some areas Tuesday. So if we're going to be looking at the long range data, that means it's time for Ben on a limb. We're going to go on the long range weather hunt here. I'm going to start with the GFS with a look at Labor Day. So Labor Day is looking dry across the area. Rain chances getting a little bit closer. But let me go ahead and jump ahead to the 2nd of September. This is going to be our Tuesday. So we have what's called an inverted trough coming in from the south. Trough is low pressure. Low pressure is lightweight air. It rises, clouds form, rain chances commence. So this is coming in from the south. So that's why I say Tuesday looks like a little better chance of that rain in Kentucky than Indiana. So there are parts of the area that might actually stay dry all the way through Tuesday. Farther south, a little better chance of that rain right now. That's kind of the trend. So I put like a 30% chance of rain for Tuesday next week. As we look ahead into Wednesday, and the weather models differ a little bit, but showing a better chance of some rain kind of scattered about the area Wednesday as this front is moving into the region. So there is Wednesdays. We need that rain chance right there. It doesn't look huge at this point, not a big soaker. Some of the weather models were putting out maybe like a 1/4 inch of rain total, 1/2 inch of rain over southern Indiana, maybe a little more in Kentucky. And then if we bring up we haven't shown the precipitable water, but this is that change in the air mass, very dry air moving in behind that front. And we can bring up the dew points, and it really shows that Canadian air carving out what little moisture we have anyway. So this is that front right here next Wednesday evening. And this is going to bring in October-like conditions, it looks like late next week. All the weather models are on board for this even cooler change late next week. So you'll watch this kind of continue to punch into the area as we head into Thursday. So this is next Thursday. Look at that contrast. And that is just super dry air. That's like dew points in the 30s, by the way, which we haven't seen in quite some time, probably since May. Look at these dew points. That's the temperature you would need to cool the air temperature down to create dew, for dew to form. Very low level of water content in the air. So it's going to feel amazing. And a bit, the humidity, you can see just getting shoved down to the south and southeast. That's next Thursday. So yes, this feels fantastic what we have now through this weekend, fall-like. But this is kind of deeper into fall weather late next week. And let me clear that out. And let's take a look at these temperatures. They're pretty crazy. They're showing 60s and 50s to the north. Let me go to like the afternoon Thursday. Let me clear that out. So this is the afternoon Thursday. 60s, 70s. So even cooler than we have been next Thursday, Friday. So big change on the way with that. Now, we've talked about this as well. If you're curious about the reason for the change in the season, weather-wise, this is pretty impressive. This is the jet stream, okay? We're talking about wind flow up around 15, 30,000 feet. And this is a huge trough that is digging down from Canada. So that's the wind flow right there. The ridge is out west. Trough is right here. And so the trough fills in with cooler than normal temperatures. That's why the Climate Prediction Center also agrees in this below normal temperature trend through the long range outlook. So that is anomalous, I would say the word. Not typical to see a trough that deep this time of the year. Digging trough, giving us cooler than normal temperatures. All right. Let's get out of the full screen mode. And so with that kind of air moving in, it could linger for a while. Let's go back to the dew points. It's the best way really right now to see how long this Canadian air will kind of stick around. So look at that. That's next Thursday. We're going to push this ahead to Friday the 5th. And that dry air is still over the region next Friday. We can put up the temperatures next Friday afternoon. This is the 5th of September, showing those 70s across the area. Looking awesome. And then going back to the dew points, we'll go into Saturday the 6th. Starting to show a little more humidity. Dew points in the 60s coming back. And then I look at the temperatures here for Saturday the 6th, showing maybe we start to warm up a bit more. So summer not over with. I know some folks were asking, are the 90s over with? Is summer over with? Well, next couple of weeks, we're looking cooler than normal, but there is still that chance that as that trough moves off to the east, ridge comes back into the region and it starts to warm things back up. So never rule out a September summer return. So there you go. But overall, a lot of cool conditions for a long time here for us. So there's that trough kind of moving off to the east. Not this weekend, next week, and perhaps the return of some warmer air down the road. This will be Sunday the 7th. Again, we're in the long range portion of the show here this morning. And that shows some heat returning to the region. Will that happen? We don't know 100% sure, but if you're wondering if summer could return, the GFS says it certainly could return. Not this weekend, following weekend.